I'm welcoming viewers in Massachusetts, viewers around the world, and viewers all over the social media. My name is Ronald and I am hosting the show called Dialogue with the Candidate. Dialogue with the Candidate is a show in which MCTV, which is Multicultural Television Network, we invite people who are running for office. They can come to our platform and share about their plan, their political agenda, and how they going to improve people's life. So today we are glad to have with us Katrina Huff-Larmond.
Hi, how are you?
Good, Katrina. I am glad. So Katrina is running for re-election as the town councilor for Randolph. So Katrina, I believe it is your first time in our platform.
Absolutely, Ronald. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. And I would like the audience to know, like, who is Katrina and why you're running for, re-election as a city council?
Well, Ronald, this is my third term running. My first term, I ran against an incumbent who was seated for 10 years or maybe more. And I actually lost that election. However, he left when in the middle of the term, and because I had so many votes, I was placed right in. So, that was a blessing, definitely, that came my way, and I was extremely thrilled. But since I've been in office, and it will be 3 years now, I have been able to use my leadership skills that I have been able to build through my experience and my education in a way to help the community to build, right? So as much as I have learned, I feel like that I have been able to, produce as well around focusing on seniors and the need of the seniors, focusing on youth, which has been a huge part of my life experience and education, working with youth, and then understanding the importance of voices being heard. So that's why I'm interested in remaining in this seat, because I do understand that there are voices not being heard. And I want to use myself as that vessel for voices to be heard in all communities. Currently, I was the first woman of color to sit in the town council seat, and I'm the first woman to be the vice president of the council. So we are still talking about the first. The first one in 2019, still talking about the first. And, I feel like those voices need to be heard, and around understanding our community as a whole and understanding Randolph and how to continue to involve our community more in Randolph.
Okay. Thank you for the answer. So you're talking about voices to be heard, like in the community. So Randolph, what are the issues like residents are facing now? And have you, as you've been a council, what are some stuff you've been working on to tackle those issues? And as you plan, if you get reelected, so you're going to continue to work on some, important issues. So what are the issues that the residents are facing?
Well, I'll start with the voices, right? When I talk about the youth, the community of color, Randolph has one of the largest, if not the largest in New England, community of color here in Randolph. And many of our voices are not heard. So again, and to be a vessel, to work with the Haitian community, to work with the Vietnamese community, to work with the African American community, it's interesting that not too many of us are as invested in our community. So I feel like it's part of my job to bring those voices so we're all invested in the community, and so Randolph have to invest in us as well. So I've done that a lot with seniors, working with seniors. I've definitely done it with working with youth. I founded 2 programs in Randolph. The Randolph Youth Council, where it helps youth develop their leadership skills, give them social justice information, and also allows them to be part of the community and learn about the community. The other program that I started in Randolph is the summer municipal internship program for high school students. And that also allows students to work in municipal departments in Randolph, whether it's fire department, police department, town hall, all the different programs and all the different departments in town hall, in the community center, where they not only gain employment and get paid for their internship, but they also have an opportunity to learn about the town. Because I believe that if we support our youth, then our youth will in turn support us. But when we ignore our youth, then our youth are going to do the same to us and ignore us. So we want to invest in our youth. So when they do go off to college or to go off to the military or go off to a trade school, when they complete those programs, they're excited about coming back to us and giving back to the community. And the other point, and what I have done and what I'm interested in doing in Randolph, I'm big on economic development. Right now, I don't know how many people know, but right now in Randolph, we're in a deficit. So it's important for us to really focus on local businesses and how we could improve our relationship with local businesses. And I, for one, have gone out to talk to business owners. I have gone out to talk to business owners outside Randolph, for instance, restaurants outside of Randolph. And a simple question as, hey, would you like to have another restaurant in Randolph? How could we help you do that? That would be wonderful. We would love to have you in Randolph.
When you say we are in a deficit, would you like to be a little bit more specific for people to understand, like what's going on in terms of if we are in deficit? So
we need money.
We need money.
we need money. And how is that going to work? We need innovative projects in Randolph, coupled with additional businesses that will bring money to Randolph. So when we have businesses here, they pay their taxes, right? And there's a couple of important factors to that. When we have more businesses, they pay taxes. Homeowners pay less taxes. So the more we could invest in businesses and finding innovative programs to invest in our town, the better we will be off. Because currently we have, our whole budget is also part of the school budget. And with the school budget, we give, a percentage of our budget to the school. And we all could agree that it's important for us to support the school. Right? And in supporting the school means funding the school. And with that funding, we have to hope that our students are getting the best education possible.
Is the school underfunded? It's what you're implying for now? Or?
I think many schools are underfunded. As an educator, I don't think there's not enough money that can go into our school systems, right? But we do have an issue here in Randolph where there are many students who do not attend the school system. Whether it's Blue Hills or charter schools or private schools. So one of our goals with the school system, and I've spoken to the superintendent, and I speak to her often, is how do we get Randolph students to stay in Randolph? And some of those ideas that I've been talking to the superintendent has been, offering programs like banking. STEM programs where it's exciting, educational, enough for students to say, you know what, I want to stay here in Randolph and I'm not interested in going to any other school district. Because when our students leave, their money leave with them. Well, at least for the charter schools and the other school systems. In the private schools, it doesn't. But for those two situations, if a student goes to another school district like Avon, Holbrook, which is very common, or go to a charter school, that money goes along with the student, and that leaves us less money to teach the students who are in the system.
Okay, if we talk a little bit more regarding the school issues, because one thing I see with other candidates that I talk to, especially for instance, in Brockton, people talking about the school size and how many students in the school. Is it the same reality for, let's say, Randolph High School? Is it this classroom size, and is that a problem, or?
I think all classroom sizes, especially in public schools, could be smaller.
Okay.
Right? The smaller the classroom, the more attention you could pay on a student. So I think that's one. I think our current superintendent, part of it is leadership is changing quite often as well. So when leadership change, sometimes you have to start from the beginning. We can't afford to start from the beginning, but we have to take some steps back. So currently, we have a superintendent who's very invested. She was also the principal of the middle school, and she did a great job at the middle school, and they are missing her at the middle school. But now she's our superintendent. She definitely have ideas on how to engage the students in a way that would make them more interested in education. But she's not only thinking about the students. What I think is really important that she has mentioned is she also wants to engage and mobilize the teachers and the administrators. So she has put together programs not only for the youth, but she has put together programs for the teachers to engage in. For instance, just when school opened in September, her activity, usually, all teachers will go to Lombardo's and they have like a 30-minute speech and have breakfast, and there's this hello, thank you for coming, and welcome to the new school year. This year she felt like, I'm going to do something different. So she had active physical activities. Because what she said, and she set them up like in classrooms in the football field, because her thought is, we need to feel what the students are feeling. We give the student 42 minutes to complete whatever assignment in class. Well, I'm going to give you 42 minutes to complete an assignment, and let's see how well you do it. We need to start feeling our students and working with our students the way they see it. Let's look in the lens of our students so we could be better prepared for them. So I like I said, she's innovative. She has these great new ideas, and I think she's going to take us to another level.
Okay, thank you. So I would like to remind all the viewers, you are listening to Dialogue with the Candidates. It's a show that has been bringing by MCTV, which is Multicultural Television Network. So we have with us Katrina Huff-Larmond, and she is running for Town Council for Randolph, and she is currently the Vice President of the Town Council for Randolph. So we're going to continue with the dialogue, yes. Katrina. So let's take another issue or another point we can focus. How about the water issue that I see all the candidates they're talking about it? So what is your stand on that?
You want to talk about water, huh? Here we go.
Okay.
No, it's a real issue. It definitely is a real issue. So we've had some issues with the water being brown, muddy looking, cloudy. And this was from, an issue that was happening in the pipes. When it first started off, DPW, the Department of Public Health, Public Works, talked about there's holes in the pipes because the pipes are pretty old. So now we're working on them. But this issue just continued to rise and rise and rise, and it didn't seem like we were able to fix it well enough to have a successful product. And because of this, myself and another counselor, Counselor Clifton, we said, this is a real problem in Randolph. So we need to address the problem. We can no longer just say that this is a problem and we're working on it, because our residents deserve more. So Counselor Clifton and I put together a forum that allowed all residents in Randolph to attend this, have an opportunity to meet with a consultant. Counselor Clifton and I, the town manager, the superintendent of DPW, and I think our attorney, the town attorney, was there as well. Oh, and also the health commissioner was there. Okay. So we had 6 individuals who we considered experts about this issue. And we just wanted to talk to the community about, what is going on, why the water is cloudy, why is it muddy and milky, and what we are doing with it. And there isn't a absolute answer. I think we will continue to work on this problem. But during that opportunity, everyone had the panelists all had an opportunity to say something. What was wonderful about it was the residents, the Q&A. Residents definitely had an opportunity to talk about their concerns and the issue. And that's what we wanted to hear. We wanted to hear about the concerns and the issues, because although there's certain people calling or making comments on Facebook, we know we weren't getting the whole story from all of our residents. So we had a nice turnout from this forum, and it gave us some direction on how to deal with it, at least with the residents. So one solution was more flushing out the pipes. So I myself, after that meeting, it seemed like the apartment buildings were definitely having some issues. So I went to a couple of apartment buildings in the district and said, what is your water looking like? And as expected, they were having problems. So we talked about how we focus more attention on flushing out the pipes on apartment buildings, because they have a whole different water system. They have, maybe hundreds or at least 50 residents in one complex. So the water is used differently. So that was a concern I brought to the town manager, and the town manager spoke to the superintendent of DPW. And so that's what's happening now, more flushing as they continue to work on the issue with the pipes. But I will also say that we have another program. Before this issue came up, we have a water treatment program that we've been investing in for years. And now we have a nice little cushion, so if something happens, we could pay more attention to it. Even with this water issue, because we've been working with the water treatment program, which are two different situations, we were able to take from our cushion so we could fix some of the issues. But the water treatment program will allow us to have better water. We've been working on that for years. We've been working on that at least since I've been in office, before I was in office. And we're working with Braintree and Holbrook, where we're coming together and trying to figure out how together, the 3 towns together, could have high quality water for all of our residents. And this is a long process. It has started September of this year. The design will start next year, but the project will not be complete until 2023. But we are confident that the water treatment program is definitely going to give us what we need and what residents will be happy with.
Okay. Thank you, Katrina. Now let's focus on the issue of transportation, because I'm looking at, when you are coming from, either you're going to Boston or a certain time when you're coming from Boston to here. So I know, or many people talk about the issue and we observe it. So what's kind of, plan you have, or if you have something you have been already working on, so why don't you share it with the audience who are listening?
Well, we're definitely, it's an issue, and we've been working with the MBTA. It's not as successful as we would like it to be. It's like baby steps, and it's hard because our residents are definitely in need of transportation. Matter of fact, I spoke at Randolph Aging and Counseling 2 weeks ago. And we talked about the need for transportation for seniors around the Highland Ave area. And it's really an issue. So we have individuals, seniors, who are unable to leave their home because of the lack of transportation. So this is an issue that we continue to work on. And sometimes it's as simple as just needing, the bus stops that we do have, just it being more visible. But the actual bus route going back and forth and being convenient for residents, it hasn't happened as quickly as we would like it to happen. We continue to work on it as a council, but I am definitely, I have definitely been told that the seniors have one of the most difficult times without having a successful and useful transit avenue. So one thing we are going to do with the seniors next year, and talking to that council, was putting together a grant. So hopefully, if we put together this grant, we receive money from the grant, because of our transit system not as successful or as resourceful as we need it, we will hope that in the community center we could provide some sort of transportation. So those are some of the avenues that we're going with and that we're doing to at least help seniors get from point A to point B, so they're not in the house and they can engage with other individuals at the community center. So it's about, writing a grant and doing something in-house in the town to be more successful, as we're working with the MBTA and hoping that at some point very soon, hopefully next year, we will have additional options for all of Randolph to travel throughout the town and travel outside of town.
You mentioned like grant writing. I remember when I had on the show
Jesse Gordon.
Yes.
Yes.
And we were talking about, they were talking about hiring a grant writer. So currently, in your district, do you have, or is it something that you're going to plan on working on, and hopefully that can bring, money to do some of the project you're talking about?
Well, absolutely, because, I mentioned earlier that, we're in a deficit. So how are we going to take care of certain issues, concerns, or activities for our residents? And I'm very interested in more grant writing. From before I was on a council, it was told to me that we've had a couple of town grant writers and it didn't work out. However, I don't think that's an excuse. If something didn't work out, then you find a different way for it to happen. And especially there's so much money out there, Ronald. There is millions of dollars out there. There was one program I was looking at with the seniors, and I think it was on transportation actually, where surrounding towns wrote one grant for transportation, and within that pile of grant, they were granted money, but that grant was giving away $4.5 million.
Wow.
So that would be wonderful to have a piece of that pie, just a little piece of that pie. I would be happy to have. So grant writing, absolutely. I have been part of organizations. I am part of an organization. We write grants to bring more activities in for youth, for other individuals. And I have found it successful. It doesn't always work because you're not always granted, but it doesn't hurt to try. So will it be successful for one person to only be focused on grants and to really dig and find what grants will be more appropriate for the town? Absolutely. I think it will be helpful in so many ways as the grant writer's doing her or his job, we can continue focusing on other issues and of infrastructure and building our wealth. But at the same time, hopefully we can have money coming in to maintain or build on top of the foundation. Okay,
definitely. So in terms of, we know Randolph is diverse.
Yes.
So how do you, manage, developing your relation with diverse community in Randolph?
Well, that's the best part of Randolph, the diversity. I tell you, that's why I moved in Randolph 15 years ago. My husband and I were living in Boston and in Dorchester, and we wanted to stay in Boston, right? But we couldn't afford to stay in Boston. It's just totally outpriced us. So therefore, I said, well, I want to live in a community where when I walk in a grocery store, it's not, now the grocery store is is diverse because Katrina walked into the grocery store. We have one black person in the grocery store. So that's why we picked Randolph, right? And that's the beauty of Randolph and loving and engaging in the diversity. And I find that part of what I have been engaged in and developing in is making sure that the diversity is respected. You know, many people say that they respect the diversity. And their understanding of respecting the diversity is just having a neighbor who's a different race.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, that's not okay. You know, it's about engaging. It's about bringing the community together so you learn about diversity. You can't just see it and say, hey, I live around a number of people that are a different race or ethnicity as me. But how are you engaging in that? So I have found I have been able to work on a couple of opportunities to bring that programs around diversity in the community, and also engage in diverse different programs around diversity, like the Haitian flag raising, which was a wonderful event, and try to encourage people, like, you need to learn. It's important to learn about diversity, not just say, I live in diversity. And honestly, I'm still having some issues with that, because people don't seem to understand that it's more than that. I was talking at the Hoopla. We had our fall festival last Saturday, and I was talking to the federal census program, and I spoke to them about the diversity. I was like, what are you doing to make sure that you are respecting the diversity and we have an accurate count here? And so the guy said, well, we're just going to make sure that we have, people who understand different languages. That's great. But it goes beyond that, right? We need people to hit the ground and knock on the doors. And the people who are knocking on those doors, the folks in the apartments or in the homes, need to feel comfortable enough to open the door. And even if they do open a door, need to feel comfortable enough to engage in a dialogue. Because if that dialogue doesn't happen, the accurate count isn't going to happen. So how are you going to help us engage our very diverse community? And, and I guess I was a little stern with him because after our conversation, he said, I have to talk to you more about this, counselor. I have to talk to you more about this. And I'm like, fine. I gave him my card. I said, we could talk about it, because respecting the diversity is extremely important, not just recognizing it. Okay, you recognize it. It's around you. But something could be around you and you not engage in it at all. So what good is that doing for us? So the whole diversity piece, making sure we're counted, making sure everyone is engaged and understanding of the diversity. And the other piece about the diversity that I'm very excited about having, myself and another friend of mine, we're going next year, 2020, we're going to start a dialogue around race and ethnicity at the community center. Well, we hope it's at the community center. Right now, we're not quite sure where it will be. But we're hoping that we get a diverse group of residents, and we want them definitely to be Randolph residents, and we're just going to put it on the floor. We're going to put it on the table and have a curriculum and talk about diversity, race, ethnicity, and, it might get really emotional. People may get angry. People may get upset, but how are you going to understand it if you are not educated enough? And I know that because I teach master level programs at Simmons and BU on diversity. My class is racism and oppression. So that's what I do as well for a living. So I want to bring that to Randolph so we can really have that dialogue. And I believe with dialogue comes success. Right now, we're not having the dialogue. So therefore, people may think that they understand. Other people know that certain folks do not understand. But how can we all be on the same page? That doesn't mean that we will agree all the time. We just need to understand and be educated.
So as you mentioned, the dialogue, I really like the piece of the dialogue, and this is what we actually doing now. Like, when people can know about you, they can know about your plan and the program and everything that you working on in order, to improve people's lives. So having the dialogue at the, community level, that is really important in order, to live together and solve problems together.
Absolutely.
So I would like to remind all the viewers, you are still listening to Dialogue with the Candidates. Dialogue with the Candidate, it's a program that has been bringing by MCTV, which is Multicultural Television Network. And we are receiving people who are running for office. They come here and explain about, their goal, their vision, and how they going to tackle issues to improve people's life. So today we're going to continue with the dialogue with Katrina Huff-Larmond.
Yes.
She is the current Vice President, Town Council in Randolph for District 3.
Yes.
So I know in everything, like it's not only one person can make things happen. It's a collaborative action to make things happen. So you have other counselors that you've been working with, and let's say you get reelected, you're going to be still working with them. So how have you managed, let's say the dynamic in order to, bring results when you have to negotiate with other counselors?
Well, that has been not as easy as we would like it to be, engaging all counselors on the same page. And I was recently reminded that, Katrina, this is your skill of bringing people together, of dialoguing with people. It's important for you to use that skill at the table. And sometimes you forget what you have that you could offer others. So this is where I am, right? Because it doesn't matter who's at the table. We have, and our differences, at the end of the day, we have to get things done for the town. So we have to understand that it's important to work together. So I have and I continue to plan on working with counselors and making ourselves feel as a team. My husband, who's a big football fan, he goes, you have so many players on the field. And if everyone's not working together, you're not going to win the game.
Definitely.
So that's my motto. Like, how do we get everyone to work together? We could agree to disagree, but it's important for us all to work together. Even if that's about last year, I think we had a consultant come in and spoke about group dynamics. And that was a good presentation for us. And then we were able to engage with each other. And it was extremely emotional as well. And next term, I hope we're able to have other opportunities, other trainings to have those dialogues and put differences on the table. Because as you said, we all have to be at the table in order for anything to happen in Randolph, and for Randolph to be successful, the town council has to be successful in coming together. So I am also dedicated to bringing council together by using some of my own personal skills that I know that will help people, manage groups, manage organizations. It's not going to be easy. It has not been easy, but I think it's something that continues to be important and a direction that we definitely have to work towards.
Yeah, we have to work together. So I believe we have so far an interesting dialogue, and I hope the viewers enjoy the dialogue and they can understand, your point of view and things you plan to work on. As right now we are at the end of the show, and I always do that with all the candidates who come and visit us. So it's your time and to make your points to the viewers who are listening to you why they should vote for you in order to be re-elected.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello out there. As mentioned, my name is Katrina Huff-Larmond, Randolph Counselor of District 3. Currently the Vice President of the Council. It's important. This race is extremely important in Randolph. We really need to look at the candidates who have Randolph's best interest, not only in the structure or infrastructure of the town, but the best interest of the people who are in town. Because those candidates who have the interest of the people in town, those are the voices that are going to have your best interest. And I ran on principles when I first started, and I continue to run on the same principles today. And that's what I call the principle of C3s: community, commitment, and collaboration. And I believe with the C3 will make a successful town, and all residents will be heard. All residents will be safe. So safety, being heard, included, in bringing money to the town so we can continue to build on our wealth are extremely important items for me. So I encourage you and I beg of you to please, on November 5th, vote, 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 vote for me, Katrina Huff-Larmond, and encourage your neighbor, your relatives, your children to go out and vote. This current election on November 5th is extremely important, and we need your vote in order for Randolph to be a safe and successful community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Katrina. And all the viewers, that has been a great, conversation with Katrina Huff-Larmond, who's running for re-election as town council in Randolph for District 3. And she mentioned that she is currently the vice president. The election is on November 3rd, November 5th, sorry. So everybody, you hear what Katrina said, and you are now informed. And when you go to the poll, you can make informed decision. So my name is Ronald, and I am the host for the show called Dialogue with the Candidate. I'll see you for the next show. Thank you.